Welcome back to episode 13 of the Benchwarmers podcast. We are your hosts, Jacob,
Sam.
And Baden.
and so we've got some breaking news for you from the NFL. Before we get into that breaking news, remember to follow us on all of the socials. We will have them linked in the description. And so, first off, we want to start with Brian Flores suing the NFL for racism in hiring practices, specifically against the Broncos, the Giants, and also the way Dolphins management handled their split. Does anyone want to kind of go more in depth about that?
So
Yeah, I'm
basically,
finding the tweet right now, but Baden, you can
I
go.
love how we both. I love what we both. So I mean, basically, the biggest takeaway was the fact that obviously the main storyline is the fact that the is it the owner Stephen Ross is the owner of the Dolphins, I believe.
Stephen
Or is
Ross.
he?
I'm
I
not
believe
sure.
he's the owner of the Dolphins. I forget if he's either the owner or the gentleman. Probably the owner because he had offered Brian Flores $100,000 for every game they lost in 2019, which is wild. Now, yeah, the Dolphins were not a good team, and they were obviously, a team that probably should have been tanking, but that's kind of wild because as a player or a coach, you never have the mindset of actually tanking. You're trying to go out there and you're winning every single game. It's the front office, it's the general manager, it's the people at the top that kind of want to see the team tank for a better future. So I don't know, that's just wild to me.
It's also wild to me that Bill Belichick being an old man is the reason that we found out about this. So, in
Yeah.
case anybody doesn't know, Bill Belichick. So Brian Dabble is the man who got the actual Giants
Dable.
job. Dable, I don't care. I don't care. Dabble, Dable, honestly. Um, so Bill Belichick, the coach of the Patriots, texted the wrong Brian, congratulating him on getting the Giants job. I have the text right here. Congrats, sounds like you've landed. Did you hear something I didn't from Brian? Giants, I interview on Thursday. I think I have a shot at it. From Brian Flores again. Then from Bill, got it. I hear from Buffalo and the New York Giants that you are their guy. It works out if you want it to. So he gets hired. Uh, Brian Dable gets hired before, or like they decide on him before Flores even gets his interview. Um, then he interviews as solely a requirement of the Rooney Rule, right?
Yeah, that requires a
And
minority to be interviewed for every single GM and head coaching opportunity.
yes,
But
so
it really seems like the Giants kind of abused that and really just gave Flores the chance as a formality so that they would pass the rule. But obviously, it had been decided before even
And
got his
especially,
interview.
it's kind of weird to me. It's kind of weird to me too because I feel like Flores. I mean, if we're just going based off purely like X's and O's and stuff like that, Brian Dable is a great coach. I think he will be. I think he has a chance to be successful there. But at the same time, the Giants need a culture change. They need a culture reset, and Brian Flores it doesn't get much better from a head coach perspective of the open market than him because we've seen him do it. So it was to me it was just odd.
and then of course we have, in addition to the racist practices by the Giants, we have the stories coming about his interview with the Broncos in 2019, where John Elway and another man come up absolutely blasted to their to put it in layman's terms, absolutely blasted to their interview. They're hungover, um, just absolutely not taking it seriously. And then Vic Fangio get right. It is Vic Fangio.
Yeah,
Was Vic Fangio
Fangio
Yeah,
got
Vic
got that
Fangio got
job?
the job.
Um, and then I mean it's just a big story because then Hugh Jackson comes out that saying he was paid to lose, and then immediately retracts it.
that was so weird.
Um, I mean Hugh was bad, but I don't know how much of it was what he alleged and how much of it was just that Browns team being absolutely awful.
You have to remember,
mean-
though, as soon as he was fired, they went 5-3 with Greg Williams.
Exactly.
Finished
It's
off
like
that year
it's not
pretty
even.
well.
So like the 1 year that he had a somewhat competent roster, what did they go 2-5-1? Like, I believe that first 8 games of the season they went 2-5-1.
Yeah.
It's like he's not. We all knew he wasn't a great head coach. He's not a good head coach. He's not a mid head coach. He's not an he's an awful head coach. But I don't know. To me, it kind of seemed like he. I didn't fully believe it. I never fully believed it. I think Flores is definitely a lot more believable, especially since he's already suing the NFL for this. I definitely see the Flores situation being real, but Hugh Jackson.
I think the reason the Flores situation makes a lot more sense is because, unlike Jackson, Flores was a winning coach. You know, the Dolphins have had winning records in back-to-back years. Or no, were they 8-9 this year?
They were,
I believe they were
I
9-9.
believe they were
They've had a positive record overall, I believe, with Flores. He's really kind of turned around that team. It's really, if you just look at wins and losses, he wasn't really on the hot seat. He was working with one of the most bare bones rosters in the NFL. So that means you know it's got to be something else. It's his relationship with Tua, which obviously wasn't very strong, as well as his relationship with upper management.
Well, there was one more development in that story. Oh, right, and then of course, the big thing is obviously Brian Flores. If he wins the suit, will get quite a bit of money. But his coaching career in the NFL will be probably non-existent after this, at least for head coaching. I doubt that anybody would hire him after this, which absolutely sucks. I think that he's a very good head coach.
Yeah, still
He
filed
recognized
his.
that.
He still filed his applications for the Saints and Texans head coaching vacancies,
Yeah,
and like put a
he is
message in
still.
saying, "I'm still interested, even during this lawsuit."
Yeah, he's still at. He was one of the finalists for the Texans job. Um, the Texans just came out with their finalists, so I mean he could still be, he could still be a coach even this upcoming season. But
I just really hope
it's
they don't.
definitely interesting.
Hope they don't Kaepernick him. You know.
Yeah,
That would
I
suck.
think plus the Texans organization is easily the worst in the NFL, and
You could say Commanders is up down there. By the way, Commanders new
our
name.
Commanders. Oh my goodness.
I don't hate the name. I hate the jerseys.
Well, all right. That's yeah. That's a whole. I feel like that's a whole nother topic. It's
Yeah.
bad.
Get into
But
it.
Texans. I think Washington's definitely down there. But Texans are them and the Texans are bottom two. Um. So I don't know how much. I feel like if you're gonna hire Flores at this point, knowing the risk he just took, you're probably thinking he may want, and also the reason why he was fired from Miami was a power struggle, part of it. So you're also looking at someone who might want a lot more power than you might be willing to give a head coach. So that's also something that might partake into why teams don't want to hire him.
Oh, Sam, we can't hear you. You're muted. You are muted.
My bad. I'm sorry. I forgot I muted myself. So I think the last big piece of NFL news, besides the Washington Commanders. Ooh, that was good. That was solid.
No, it wasn't.
Um,
Oh.
was the hiring of Josh McDaniels. The Raiders hired him. I don't understand it. I'm not gonna lie. Josh McDaniels was involved with the Broncos version of Spygate. What was it, like 2011, 2014, somewhere around that time period, early 2010.
2000, I think it was. Yeah.
I mean,
so it just doesn't really make too much sense. I don't understand it. He's been
Yeah,
very
honestly,
highly coveted.
yeah, I feel
I
like
don't get why he
oh,
would go back to head coaching. I just don't understand it. He tried and he failed, and he went back to the Patriots and ran a pretty good offense for years. And now he's got an opportunity with a guy who is, I don't know, probably Chase is going to win Rookie of the Year now. But he's got an opportunity with an exciting young quarterback. I don't get why he's leaving. Especially, and
yeah,
I also don't
honestly,
get, I don't think it makes sense for either side. Because the Raiders, Rich Biscottia, I'm probably butchering that, but I don't think, I think he really, I don't know. I didn't know that much about him, but I know that he wasn't as bad as Gruden was, and I think it was. I don't think he hurt that team. I don't get why he's.
yeah, I think he helped. I think he helped the team. I think the players clearly loved him. They wanted to play for him. I felt like they should have stuck with him. Um, you could have maybe if let's say the Raiders go out next year and they don't play well, maybe call it a fluke. But still, I don't see why you don't. You clearly see the players are invested in him. Why not? You know what I mean? This is not a Raiders team that I felt like, to me at least, they did way better than I thought they were going to be. I thought this was
Yeah,
a 5-6 win football team. They won 9, 10. They won 10 games,
yeah.
10 games, and almost beat the AFC champions.
Yeah.
So I
Browns
mean,
did it twice.
the Browns did do it twice. We did beat the AFC champions twice. We beat them what 6 times in a row now, or
Yeah, 5 out of 6
5 of the
in the
last
Baker
6.
Mayfield era.
Yeah, but nobody cares about the Browns. But yeah, the McDaniel's hired. I think he's been in head coach carousel like for the last 4 years now. I feel like there's a reason at this point he was not a head coach. Um, but I guess some of his strategies definitely do fit into the Raiders personnel. Like he loves the two tight end set. You have Darren Waller and Foster Moreau there. Um, then you look at a guy like Josh Jacobs, pretty similar to a running back like Damien Harris. Probably could utilize someone like Kenyon Drake better. Like Kenyon Drake fell off the face of the earth this year.
Yeah,
Um,
Kenyon Drake was never that good, but
he was never that great, you know what I mean? But no, I don't think I heard anyone talk about him once. Um, and then it's gonna be interesting what they do defensively. I don't know. I felt like what they had to Rich Biscottia was good enough. Or at least I think it would have been better than what Josh McDaniel brings. But hey, maybe I'm wrong.
I think the McDaniel's hiring was kind of a mistake. Remember in 2019, end of 2019, I guess it would be 2020. The Browns, their two finalists were Stefanski and McDaniel's, and I wanted McDaniel's. I thought he was way more proven. I wasn't, I hadn't
Yeah,
really seen that much of the Vikings. I knew how good the Patriots were, but I'm glad we picked
yeah,
Stefanski. I don't think McDaniel.
yeah. I was kind of odd about that too, because like Stefanski's last game as the Vikings coordinator was against Robert Saleh's defense, and I wanted Robert Saleh.
Yeah,
But
that's right.
the Jets got him.
Man, Robbie. That was that guy.
How long?
Um,
How long are the Jets gonna be bad before he's on the hot seat?
got time. We got. I think.
I don't know. I don't think you can realistically see the Jets being good in the next. Like I'm being like I could playoff contender probably another year or two. Realistically, you have to hope a Zach Wilson breakout year comes. They need a better offensive line. Their
They
secondary
need a lot of things. Yeah.
football.
No,
They
you
need
can
a
just
lot of things.
you can just say overall team improvement. But I just want to
Over
be
yeah,
able to like watch like an enjoyable football team sometime in the near future. I don't feel like that's too much to ask. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah.
I feel like that's like an
Honestly, I
exception.
don't. Honestly, I feel like the Jets are going in the right direction. So I do think it's great things to see. They have two top 10 picks. Hopefully, they bank on both of them. Um, yeah,
So with that, do we want to over to the NBA to our NBA segment?
Yeah. Sure.
absolutely.
So the
Right.
Cavs have had a little bit of a rough patch lately. After winning 9 of 10, they have now dropped 2 out of 3 to the Rockets. Sorry, the Pistons and the Rockets.
Oh,
Yeah, I think it's tough with Darius being out. You know, Darius has had back problems for a pretty long stretch over the season, but they've troubled him a little bit more. And so I think we're just gonna need to. Kobe Altman needs to make a move. I think is the bottom line.
Yeah, we're too Darius Garland dependent. When he's not on the court, we can't score at a high level. I mean, but it makes sense. Look at the roster. There's not a high level scorer healthy on this roster right now. Other than the really our two high level scorers are Garland to an extent, but really Colin Sexton. So, yeah, like Sam said, Kobe Altman needs to make a move for some sort of scoring wing slash guard, someone who can play like the two or the three. Because I think because when Darius Garland is not in the game, let's be honest, this is a play-in basketball team. When he's in the game, we're a near championship contender. That's the difference that he brings.
Just a little bit of a dynasty here.
Yeah. I mean, these injuries are really building up, and I think one we're kind of overlooking is Markkanen. I'm a very big Markkanen hater. You guys know that, but
yes,
you know, you miss him when he's gone, because his being 7 feet tall is not something you can teach. It's a pretty big attribute.
That's no way, Jacob. I thought that so this is a question I had. If I was to purchase a pair of platform basketball shoes, right, and they give me 6 inches to my height, the NBA let me play in those. If I was a good enough player,
there's probably a rule against that. They have a rule against where
lift.
Yeah, there's a rule. They have. Do you guys remember the karate headbands?
Oh yeah,
Like Jimmy Butler. They have a rule that you can't wear those. They probably have a rule that you can't wear shoes that boost your height by 6 inches.
It's vile.
It'll be interesting.
I mean,
I'm getting robbed.
Sam 6 inches on height on you. You'd be 6'5", wouldn't you?
Yeah, 6'5", 6'6". I'd be like Klay Thompson.
What I want to see is Sky Zone NBA, full floors trampolines, but the hoops are like 14 feet.
Yeah, I was about to say you need to make the
fun.
hoops like 13, 14 feet now.
Oh my god, dude, LeBron, like young LeBron on one of those trampolines, and he goes between the legs 3 times. The 20
just imagine
contest where Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon on Sky Zone trampolines.
Imagine like college Zion on that.
Oh my god.
I'm sure it's
hit us up. All-Star Weekend. All-Star Weekend's coming soon. Call us. Yeah, but speaking of Cavs needing to improve their roster, we're gonna do a little bit of something different here today on the podcast. I have pulled up from an array of articles and Reddit posts across the internet a variety of trades for the Cavs and just the NBA in general, and we're gonna react to them. Maybe we give them a letter grade. We'll give them a letter grade F through A. A obviously being the best for those of you that have never been to school or haven't been in school for a while, such as Grandpa's. Jacob's Pop, big Pop enjoyer on the channel. All right. Sorry, isn't it? All right, so we're gonna give him a grade A through F, and we're gonna maybe say how we'd modify him, something similar to that. So ready, fellas, because we've got a couple of doozies right here. Oh, this is one of my favorites. So this is between the Sixers and the Bulls, and I can only imagine who it's going to be. The Sixers would receive Eric Jones, Troy Brown, Kobe White, Patrick Williams, 2 unprotected firsts and 2 second rounders. They would give up Ben Simmons.
I just hate these kind of deals, which is like a bunch of garbage and some picks for a really good player, Those just aren't interesting to see.
Ben Simmons. I have a couple of teams that I'd like to see Ben Simmons on. I don't think the Bulls are one of them. I think the Bulls, the way they're built, to me doesn't fit. Ben Simmons is like you're basically saying, Zach LaVine, I want you to be a spot up shooter. Like I feel like Simmons needs shooters around him, but at the same time, he's still not the primary ball handler. You know what I mean? That's why I feel like a team like the Hawks would suit him best because he won't be the primary ball handler. That's Trae Young, but at the same time, he has shooters all around him. So, and then on top of that, he tremendously helps that defense. The Bulls' defense is fine.
Yeah.
So I don't like the fit. I don't like the trade pieces. Yeah.
If you're the Sixers, the only reason you would do that if you are 100% confident that Ben Simmons is not playing for you again.
I mean, Joel Embiid has been so incredible, so I understand where like that is just an awful trade because none of that fits what you need, which is a ball handler, a secondary scorer, because Tobias Harris has been not playing up to that max contract of his. Um,
I mean, you may have that in Tyrese Maxey, but
but
you
Tyrese
know,
Maxey is still so young, and I don't think they
that
like.
is true.
If you're looking for another star, if you're looking for a Ben Simmons caliber player, you're looking for like TJ McCollum or somebody
But
like
at the
that.
same time, what is really a Ben Simmons caliber player? Because you can look at that as so many different ways. Are you looking at like uh, all star, superstar, like at one thing, but or at a decent amount of things, but at the same time, it's like in the playoffs he's non-existent. It's like
I
it's so many different ways you can like interpret how good Ben Simmons truly is.
I hate this notion that like Simmons is. Oh, geez, baby.
My bad,
Um,
my bad, my bad.
I I I don't. I think a player having a cold streak that just happens to hit during the playoffs is very different from being a playoff choker. I think that's kind of a term that you don't want to put on someone lately. And I know he basically cost them that series. But to say like Ben Simmons is non-existent in the playoffs, I don't know how much I agree with that. Just because I don't know. I think you have to see like very specific and you have to see it happening a lot more for you to make.
You could say that. I think you could say that, but I just remember, back in 2019 when they played the Heat, they still won the series, so it's not like it ended up really costing them. But like he had 1 point in a playoff game. Like your number one pick, max contract point guard, scores 1 point. It's to me like there's definitely times before last year where he just doesn't play the best. Um, but I understand what you're saying. It may be too early to truly label him a playoff choker, but that choke was about as big as a choke as it gets.
So that was gonna make a joke, and then I remember like
Yeah,
all
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, 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 yeah.
man.
We want to move on to the next one.
Yeah, no, but let's give our letter. What do we give that? What do we give that trade? What's our trade?
C minus D plus. It's like a
Which side are you evaluating it?
Just I guess we'll say give it for each side. I guess I feel like that's fair.
for the Bulls. I'm giving that a C minus, and I'll give it a C plus for the Sixers.
I'd give it a C for the Bulls, and I think I'd give it like a B for the Sixers. I think if they're sure Simmons
Yeah.
isn't going to play again.
Or honestly, I could boost my Sixers rating higher if that at that point the Sixers are just desperate to get him off your team
Yeah.
because his value is already a bit lower than what it really should be because everyone knows he doesn't want to truly play for them. So yeah, there's definitely going to be um, what you call it. I think there could be a point where the Sixers just want to get rid of him and they'll take any offer they can get.
I'm gonna actually say that the Bulls get the better end of this because I think I'm a bit higher on the Bulls fit with Simmons than Baden. I'm gonna give this a B minus for the Bulls and a D plus for the 76ers. I think this is an absolutely awful return. All right, so now we have our first Cavs trade. This Cavs trade is all right. So here's what we got. The Cavaliers receive Derek White and Lonnie Walker the fourth from the Spurs. Return for Ricky Rubio, Colin Sexton, and one of our second rounders this year. Now I'm gonna go on this for a second. All right. So I am a Colin Sexton. Whoa, sorry, Colin Sexton believer. All right. I think that he is an absolute. I think that he's an all-star caliber player when he's healthy. But if I think the Cavs would go through on this deal if they don't feel comfortable in paying him the amount he wants to be paid. Derek White is 6'4". He can play the shooting guard or the point guard, and he's averaging 14 points a game this season. We're looking for that scoring boost off the bench when Darius Garland isn't there. Lonnie Walker IV is also a young prospect who's pretty good on the defensive end. He's a wing. We can always use more of those. So, while I might not agree with trading Sexton for that low of a return, I would probably want a pick or two in exchange for that. I think it makes sense if we don't want Colin Sexton back.
I think there's a very black and white way to evaluate it. It's if you're the Cavs, this makes sense if you're pushing for the championship right now. This year is not their championship year. This is the year where they establish themselves in the East, and next year, 2 years, that's when they're championship level team. Getting rid of Colin Sexton doesn't make any sense if you want to compete for years to come. But if you're committed to this year being your championship year, which I think is a bad idea, then sure, why not?
Yeah, to me, Colin Sexton, the only way you really should move him this year is if you either get someone at a similar level who has more time on their contract, someone like a Karis LeVert, maybe, because I think they're similar skill sets with, I know Sam's disappointed in that, but similar skill sets, and LeVert probably might be the safer option because I don't know how the Cavs really feel about Sexton, or you package Sexton and you get a star. That's to me what, like, if you say, I don't know, Bradley Beal. I'm just throwing names out there, but if you can get Bradley Beal for Sexton and obviously some other pieces, hey, I wouldn't complain.
Fair enough. So, just one last thing. Derek White turns 29 this year. He's on a $15 million a year contract, and he's on the deal for 4 seasons. So that's why I'm higher on this trade than I think you two are. So I think letter grade for this would be a B from a Cavs perspective and an A from the Spurs perspective.
Jake, you want to give your ratings?
Okay, if we're looking at this from 1 year, this is probably still like a B for the Cavs. And I would say Spurs. For the Spurs, it'd be pretty bad for 1 year because you need 2 guys for every season. But if you're looking at this in a multiple years in the future perspective, I think it's really bad for the Cavs. I think they need Sexton to get his shot with a team this good. If we're looking at it for multiple years, I would give the Cavs a C, and I would give the Spurs like a B plus.
Right, and Baden?
I would give this a B plus for the Spurs. Lonnie Walker, Derek White, I think those guys are definitely not nearly the players I think Sexton is and can be. And I'm gonna give this a C for the Cavs just because I don't see how much this really helps the team. Like obviously we get a little bit better defensively in the perimeter, but again, like we said earlier, the Cavs lack scoring outside of Darius Garland, and Derek White and Lonnie Walker do not bring that. They don't bring the scoring that this team needs.
All right, I've got the last two that I've said have been pretty. I'd say that they're. The Ben Simmons one is obviously bigger than the Cavs one. I've got a Lakers one for us here. I've got a Russell Westbrook trade. Sports
This is
A
Illustrated. I
bag
didn't
of
make this up.
chips.
All right. So let me get real close to the mic for this one. Let's make everybody uncomfortable. All right. We're closer now. The Lakers receive Evan Fournier, Alec Burks, Kemba Walker, and Luka Simonic. Knicks receive Russell Westbrook and Wayne Ellington.
That's
Discuss.
if the Knicks would even think about accepting that trade, Russell Westbrook and Julius Randle on the same team would combine shooting 10 for 40. Like that's such an awful pairing, Russell Westbrook and Julius Randle, because they're two inefficient players. So I just don't see how they work together, and you're losing just so much spacing. You say Fournier, Burks, Walker. That's so much spacing you're losing. This is, and I mean, for the Lakers, hey, I mean, you're adding more and more role players. They don't need. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know
like
how much. I don't know how much LeBron and a bunch. I'm just saying. I'm just gonna say it, LeBron and a bunch of role players, because I don't know how much you can expect out of AD. I'm not saying he's a role player. I'm not. I'm trying, but he's too inconsistent. He's not always there. Um, his impact this year has been of someone slightly better than a role player, maybe like borderline
The
all star.
2018 Kevin Love, you're saying.
Basically, Anthony Davis this year has been 2018 Kevin Love with a bit more flashy, but more flashes. Um, how much is LeBron and role players getting you? Like, maybe he goes 2018 mode again and gets you to the finals, but I doubt it.
Right. I'm gonna propose my counter for this trade. Like, absolutely all the points you made were good points. Okay. The Lakers, I think, are championship or bust. You're playing with a 37. Look,
Absolutely.
LeBron James is immortal. He is 37 years old, but he looks like he could play for 5 more years and still be an all-star player.
Yeah.
Again, as long as he plays, he'll never be out of the all-star game. Really. So this is what Sports Illustrated says. The Lakers would do this deal because Westbrook is still a messy fit. The trio of Fournier, Burks, and Walker, two of those are free agents after this season. So Alec Burks and Walker both expire. And both of them will probably find homes that are not on the Knicks. LeBron probably moves back to the point guard during this trade, which I think is probably incredible. I think LeBron is just a beast beyond like comprehension. He's just a different level of elite. And then Knicks, I think that this opens up playing time for younger players. Emmanuel Quickley, Quentin Grimes, Cam Reddish, who has played like 0 minutes since they acquired him from the Hawks. So I feel like it's probably not a trade that either of them that the Knicks agree to, but I think it's an interesting shakeup if they still want to make the playoffs, which obviously they do because they're paying Julius Randle contract money.
I think the Knicks have kind of been in like post Carmelo Anthony recovery, like for years now, and this is the best season they've had since he left. And I think bringing in
Not remember last year. Sorry, just
oh, were they good last year?
yeah, they were the
Who?
4th
Oh,
seed in the
sorry,
playoffs
yeah,
last year,
sorry.
Jacob.
Okay,
My bad.
My bad.
Who are we,
This is
My
we
bad.
talking about the Lakers?
Sorry, I'm looking at their
Or the
last
Knicks?
like. I'm looking at their
Knicks.
last like 5
Oh,
years.
yeah, the Knicks. What? How did you already forget that?
I'm looking at the Knicks' last 5 years. Right, they're finally starting to make progress in the post Melo era. These last couple seasons,
Thank you.
right?
Appreciate it.
And I think just add another aging star and get rid of some of your key players. You know, not the guys who are going to win you games, but those guys who are going to fill key minutes. It doesn't make any sense.
Fair enough. I think that I'll give my letter grade again. I think if the Lakers can pull off this trade, this is an A+ trade for the Lakers just because Westbrook is so awful. Then this is like a C- for the Knicks.
I just don't see LeBron carrying a team that far anymore. I mean, literally, if they do this, he'll have no one. Westbrook's been bad, but he can look okay at times. Like, he's on the worst. It's not like this is a normal thing. This is the worst streak of his career. And that won't last. Everyone is super low on Westbrook right now because he's having the worst streak of his career.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like we're 45-7 games into the year and nothing's changed. Like I don't see it changing. Like my third best player can't be hitting the backboard, no rim, twice a game. It's ridiculous.
That's true.
It's actually getting ridiculous. His play style is not of someone. His play style cannot win a championship, and he hasn't been able to change his play style for the betterment of the team. That's what happened. I mean, I can't really say OKC, but that's what happened in Houston. And I can't. I mean, and that's what's happening now. I was gonna say the Wizards, but the Wizards were never a team with championship aspirations. So when you look at it, I think they made that trade. I never really thought that trade was gonna be a great deal, anyways. I thought the Lakers just brought in a name, and it's worked out even worse than I thought it would be, honestly.
Could you imagine if you told someone in like 2014 that the Lakers would have LeBron, Westbrook, uh, Anthony, and who am I forgetting? Howard.
Oh my god, dude, their minds would just like implode.
I mean, that's literally an all-star team.
Yeah. Do you guys remember that one clip? I'm sure Baden remembers it because he's been on Twitter like ages. In the bubble where the Lakers are playing against the Rockets and Westbrook is on the 3-point line and the Lakers are playing him at the elbow.
Exactly.
He
That
takes
they're
off.
literally you're the guy that you decided we're not gonna guard him at the 3-point line. You go out and trade for him. What
So
sense does that
weird
make?
trade from the beginning. All right, I've got two more, and then we're gonna move on to our bench warmers and our yeah, we're struggling with that. All right, this is between the Mavs and the Celtics. Mavericks will receive Jaylen Brown and Romeo Langford, while the Celtics receive Tim Hardaway Jr., Dorian Finney-Smith, Jalen Brunson, 2 seconds and 2 firsts.
I love that deal for the Mavericks. They need another score alongside Luca. Like so far, like when I look at like the what you call it, like that Trey Young Luka Doncic deal, it almost seems like the Hawks won the deal because Trey Young's just been more successful. When it's really the Mavericks just have not done a good job of building around their franchise generational guard. Although not all of it's on their fault, is their fault. Kristaps Porzingis has been eh since he's been there. Um, but they need another type of player. And for the Celtics, they can Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I don't think can work together. Their peak was at 2018 conference championship run.
They got owned
Um,
on again.
I think they need to move. They need to either because if one of those guys are on their own team, they might be pushing MVP candidacy. Um, so I think you let Jason Tatum shine, fully build the team around him, which means move Jaylen Brown and get the assets to do so. So I'd give it an A for both sides because it gives what both teams need.
Yeah, I agree. I think that okay, here I've got a good one this time. Mid stops Porzingis. Okay, come on. You guys
Oh,
can give me applause now. I'll accept it now.
Chris and
No,
mid.
if I honestly, like if people watching this video or listening to this right now, I don't blame you if you dislike right now. I would not blame you. I would do it too.
Everybody's a hater. Everybody's a hater. So, Kristaps Porzingis has underwhelmed severely. He's actually had a little bit of a not breakout year. Sorry, bounce back year. That's what I'm looking for. Bounce back year. He's still struggled with injury, but he's looked a little better. But I think that him and Luka are a messy fit. So I think that this deal would include them shipping off Porzingis for something else, probably to the Kings is my bet. I think that this is a pretty good trade this is a great trade for the Mavericks. I think for the Celtics, this is kind of just remaining where you're at. I'll give this an A for the Mavs, and I'll give this a B- for the Celtics.
So I think the Mavs is exactly what you need. Like, this is what you need for Luka, and for that I'd give it an A- ish. Here's why I think the Celtics win this. You cannot overstate value of those 2 first-round picks. Those could be franchise-changing guys. And building on what Baden said about the building around one of your 2 stars, building around Tatum is the choice that makes sense. And now you've got 2 more first-rounders to help support him.
All right, so we've got our last trade. This is the most incredible trade I've actually ever seen. I'd like to give it a title. I'm gonna call it. Yeah. Give me a second. Never mind. I was about to say a terrible pun, and I think that everybody listening would just click off. All right, so we'll just call it the the Jay Green project for right now. League has come to a point where it can support 5 Jay Greens. Those Greens are Jeff Green from the Nuggets, Devontae Green from the Bulls, Josh Green from the Dallas Mavericks, and another JaMychal Green. Sorry, JaMychal Green also from the Denver Nuggets, and of course Jalen Green is just taken in the past draft class. So we now must think in our minds, how can we possibly get all of these guys on the same team? Well,
Whoa!
I found it. So, dear listeners, you might think, well, shouldn't we just trade them all to a team that is already dual wielding Jay Greens? No, because you see, the Nuggets are in a state of contention. They would never do such a thing. But the Houston Rockets, however, they would. So I present to you the trade to end all trades. The Houston Rockets receive Monte Morris, JaMychal Green, Jeff Green, Josh Green, Vontae Green, and Tony Bradley. And in return, they ship out Troy Brown Jr., Daniel Tice, Eric Gordon, and Moses Brown to assemble the ultimate lineup of Jay Greens.
That could be a starting lineup. That's the crazy part about it.
Yes, it could.
Oh,
So,
that's an A plus. That's an A plus plus. That's a 250%. That's such an amazing. I need to see that.
Such a feat would rival, as this Reddit post that I found, would rival the All Williams Brooklyn Nets lineup from 2011 to 2012. In which, hold on, let's click on this link. Let's hope it doesn't install a virus. In which we have Ron Williams, Jordan Williams, Sean Williams, and Sheldon Williams. We're missing one to complete the Infinity Gauntlet. They couldn't do it, but in this NBA, we could. So feel free to clip this, just like this 30-second clip right here, at the Denver Nuggets, Dallas Mavericks, Houston Rockets, and there was one other team that I'm forgetting, Chicago Bulls, so that we can see this happen.
Yeah,
so
I
obviously
need to see
that's
that for sure.
A plus for everybody involved, and that ends our trade deadline talk. We move on to our Benchwarmers.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Right, Jacob, you should go first.
Okay, so honorable mention to Point Chetty, is one game. Very
Oh
short,
my gosh.
very short
Sir.
lived. Didn't even last a full game. But I'm gonna give it to Brandon Goodwin. It would have been very easy to give it to Goodwin after his incredible performance against the Pelicans, where he looked like Darius Garland Jr. You know,
A pretty good win, I would say.
and then you have it gets a little bit harder
Nice. That was a
because
good
of
one. That
the
was finally a good one.
was. It gets a little harder though, just because of the disappointing Rockets loss. But I still think Goodwin is the most deserving player of it,
Fair enough.
and I expect him to be a regular.
Absolutely. I've got mine. It is Carmelo Anthony. Wow, I'm sure you guys have never heard that name before. He's a pretty unknown guy in the league. Uh, I would say like he would have never been on a team like the Nuggets or the Knicks or the Rock or the Thunder. That would be pretty crazy. Or the Trailblazers. That's pretty crazy. But he put up a light 24 points and 8 rebounds on 5 of 6 from 3 and 8 of 12 from the field in a 99-94 win against the Portland Trailblazers. Portland Trailblazers are also the closest team to them in the play-in game, so this is a pretty good win.
I watched that Lakers Blazers game. Melo looked like a slightly less impactful LeBron.
So
Not
Westbrook
slightly,
was
much
terrible.
less impactful.
And this is actually what I wanted to mention. Anthony Davis had 30 and 15 in that game. So I think he's still pretty good. Just light work. Good work. All right, Baden, you got some bench warmers.
So honorable mention to Eli Apple because he's gonna be warming the bench for the rest of his career. I'm sick of that man. Eli Apple gets on my nerves. He's the only Ohio State player I'll ever dislike. Um, but I'm gonna go with Nickeil Alexander-Walker. This happened about a week ago, so it is a bit old. But he had a 31-point game against uh, the Sixers. He's been starting a little bit more lately, but overall he's mainly coming off the bench. So I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker, someone is coming up in the league. It's kind of exciting.
Right now, go plug something while I pull up this quiz, okay?
Twitter at CLE Benchwarmers. Two ones.
Yeah,
There's Benchwarmers CLE. Spotify, YouTube, which most of you guys are probably listening to this on YouTube. Make sure to check us out on Spotify. Also, shout out Rob Perez. He just followed me on Twitter. So, bro has what 800,000 followers. So that's pretty exciting. So hopefully you're listening to this, Rob. You should come on the podcast.
Okay. Right. You know what? We're gonna do this quiz from 2018. Put yourself in a 2018. Well, it's not a quiz, so to speak. It's an opinion piece. So I'm gonna ask you these questions from 2018. You're gonna tell me yes or no. Just remember, these are the 2018. Actually, if they're still in the league, say that it's this current player. But if they're out of the league, just take it as it is. Would you trade Draymond Green for the #1 overall pick?
Right. We're doing right now.
If you're the Warriors.
In 2018.
Sure. We'll say in 2018, would you trade Draymond for the #1 overall pick? Oh, not the 2018 #1 overall pick, but would you trade a 2018 version of Draymond, the #1
or
overall
the
pick?
2022 first overall?
Yes.
You're telling me you trade him and then you have to wait 4 years to get a return?
No, I'm just saying if Draymond Green
All
was
right, so you're saying
top of the league as his 2018 overall form,
Okay, so
would you trade that version?
Yes.
No.
I mean,
really,
it's harder to say because of how much value it brings to the Warriors. If we're just talking about pure talent, of course, because I want Jabari Smith or Chet Holmgren or Paolo Banchero on my team because I think those guys would be superstars. But if I'm the Warriors, probably not. But if we're just talking about skill set wise, yeah, I'll do that deal.
Oh my God, Chet Holmgren. Whoa, how do you say his name? Holmgren?
Holmgren, I believe.
All right, yeah. I mean, him on that Warriors team is disgusting. I don't know what they're gonna do with James Wiseman because he's been like toiling in the G League for a while. So, let's see. All right, question number 2: would you trade Jeremy Lin for draft picks?
No.
Jeremy Lin 2018.
I mean, of course, yeah, but man, the insanity is just those are like the early days of me watching basketball. So I kind of that's like the early memories of basketball I have is insanity. So Jeremy Lin, it would be hard to trade him, but for a value, yeah.
Jeremy Lin would fill out like this Patty Mills role on the Nets right now because he was on the Nets in 2018, which is pretty crazy to think about. He wasn't in China. I'm sure they would offer him a 10-day. Somebody would offer him a 10-day. Would have been so nice to see. I could have gotten my Jeremy Lin Lakers jersey. Are you kidding me?
I mean, I think, yeah, probably training 2021.
No way. That's crazy. All right, so this is funny to look back on. Would you trade Kentavious Caldwell Pope and Jordan Clarkson for Damien Lillard? They were on the Lakers,
Nah.
if you remember correctly.
Nah. Why would I? What's the point of that?
Oh my God. That's crazy. So this is an interesting one. 2018. This will be our last one. Actually, would this be our last one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Probably.
this. This is a good one. Would you trade current Chris Paul, the top pick in the draft? Right now, 37-year-old Chris Paul on this Suns team. Would you trade him for the #1 overall pick next year?
Okay, so I think it's kind of weird to like hypotheticals where you're trading a player mid-season is a little bit weird because you have to factor in that like there's going to be this huge hole on your team for the second half of the playoff push.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, probably still yeah, just because of how much it sets up your team for the future. But doing it in the middle of the season makes it a little bit harder to say.
Yeah, I would probably. Yeah, it's gonna be harder to do that in the middle of the season because one, we don't. I mean, you can't do that in the middle of the season. You don't know who has the #1 pick.
That's true.
So, yeah, I don't know because the Suns. Because honestly, you could say we have Chris Paul, we traded for the #1 pick. Who's to say we have to pick the player with the #1 pick? Or we could flip that pick into the next point guard for us. You know, or we trade down and draft a Jaden Ivey. So, I mean, there's a lot you could do with that #1 pick if you're the Suns. I probably would do it.
I wonder what the earliest someone has clinched the #1 pick is.
It's Charlotte Bobcats, right? That Kemba Walker season where they went. I mean, not now, not
clinch.
anymore.
Or
like clinched.
I mean,
in the lottery at least.
Or clinched in lottery.
Oh my God, it had to have been
the
Bobcats or
that Bobcats team.
How many teams they? How many games they won that year?
9.
7. Oh,
7?
9? Or I thought it was 7 and
that was their lockout
6.
shortened season, wasn't it?
Yeah. Wasn't it? I thought they only won 7 games.
That would have been absolutely wild. Looking back at some of these trade ideas is hilarious. Would you trade Isaiah Thomas for Kemba Walker? Charlotte Kemba Walker for Cleveland Isaiah Thomas?
Yeah. I was right. The Charlotte Bobcats that year went 7-59.
Imagine how absolutely terrible you have to be to do that. Look, I know that as Cavs fans we can't really say much because we drafted Anthony Bennett with our #1 overall pick.
True, but still 7 wins. Yikes.
It's just so awful. All right, we got anything else we wanna say before departing?
Make sure to follow us on all of the socials. They will be in the description. And we will see you in the next one.
Which
Thanks
is
for
Real,
watching.
hey,
Yeah.
real quick. Super Bowl predictions.
Oh,
Oh yeah, no, I can't believe we forgot about that. Oh yeah, the Super Bowl's happening. No big deal.
I mean, we got another week, but yeah.
Probably have another podcast coming out,
Yeah,
but
let's give our
real
quick
quick, just
predictions
no
now.
in
We'll go.
depths. Joe Shiesty pulls it out.
Wish I would never pull out.
What?
Okay.
There's no way he
So
just
I'm
did
gonna
that.
go with I'm gonna go with 31-28 Bengals. McPherson continues his streak of game winners.
Baden just. I'm gonna say 42-21. Rams. I don't think that offensive line is gonna hold up.
I just
To be
think
honest.
42 is a little bit outrageous.
Eli Apple's gonna get benched, and they start making some stops.
Man, Cooper Cup is gonna embarrass him. He's talked so much trash over the last week since that win.
I mean, I think
He
it's
did
gonna
play
be
pretty
Mike,
well.
or will they put? No, they better not put Eli Apple and Cooper Cup. Cooper Cup plays in the slot anyway. I think Mike Hilton might guard him.
Oh yeah, that's true.
What's your prediction? Oh wait, you already gave. You just.
I said Bengals win. No score, and I'm not gonna say a score now.
Yeah, I'm sorry for ruining that. All right. Thank you for
Alrighty,
listening.
see you guys,
Thank you guys.
and
See you in the next one.
Smooches.
Bye. Don't do that.